thing is that you need to have a clean table. Your table has to be really clean and especially dry. Chocolate and water are enemies when it comes to temper. If you want to make a sauce, of course, you can make a sauce with chocolate and water. But when you want to temper, you have to stay away from water. However, you have to use a bain-marie, which is a pot with water. So you just have to be really conscientious about it, and always have a towel dry in your bowl in the bottom, because you don't want to get any moisture on your table. So I always dry it, and I keep the melted chocolate away, because this bowl is hot. I'll keep it away from the area where I'm going to be working, because I want to keep this nice and cool. Okay, so my chocolate is melted. You see, like you see here. And the way I always do this, I take a pot of water, bring it to boil, turn it off, and I put my bowl in here, and I let it melt while I do something else. That way, the steam here and the hot water would melt the chocolate slowly. Chocolate is very delicate. You can't really rush it. You can't put this on top of a flame and try to melt it right away. So you should plan doing this. Take your time and do it carefully. That way you don't burn your chocolate. So I put my chocolate there, and while I was talking to you, it melted, and it's already ready for tempering. Okay, so I have tempered chocolate. It was tempered, and now it's melted. You see how beautiful it is? Now, what temperature it is, that's really not important right now. You just want to melt your chocolate. Okay, so then, tabling is when you take a third of this, more or less, a third of this melted chocolate, and you put it on your table, and you are going to play with this chocolate to cool it down. So 1/3 of your chocolate is cooling down, and we here in this one, we are shaping these crystals, all of them, because the unstable will come out first than the top ones. I'm going to put a little of this in here. And I'm going to keep this one warm. I'm not going to put it here because this is already warm. And usually I take an offset. This is an offset. Because it's bended here, that's what it's called off. And spackle that you can find in any hardware store. And then you're going to try to stir it and try to keep it in the center. And I just use it to clean. You see, depends on if you're righty or. Keep your chocolate in the center and you keep stirring. Now, I have a thermometer here. This is a laser thermometer, and it's telling me that it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And I want to take this to 82. And I will explain that graphic in a couple of minutes. So I want to take this to 82, which is the first stage, or the second stage. The first stage is melting your chocolate. Second, cooling it down. So I stir, I clean. And working with chocolate can get really messy, so you try to keep all your chocolate in the center. You keep cleaning all the way on the edge. You see how it's getting thick? It's because it's cooling down. Let's test the temperature here. Right now is 94. You see it's cooling down. And I'm going to take it to 82, 81, more or less. And then I'm going to take this cool mass of chocolate and I'm going to mix it with the hot chocolate. So all the crystals are getting created here, including the unstable ones. That's part of the process. You can't just create one crystal. Although you can, but you're going to learn that on another method. And this one you can. So we're cooling down this to the low 80s, and we're going to mix it with the hot one, and then we're going to try to mix it well and get to the working range. The working range for dark chocolate is, like in the board says, 86 to 91, and that is when you can work with it. And we have to test it, of course, to see if it's tempered. Okay, so I'm cooling this. This method is really not my favorite because it's very messy. Also, you need to be very proficient with chocolate in order to do this method. My favorite method is seeding, and I will explain why. Okay, so this is cooling. You have to keep stirring. The purpose for stirring is just to cool it fast, and also to make sure the crystals that are getting created here, they collide with each other. When they collide, they multiply. So you get more crystal, more crystal, more crystal, and it gets thicker and thicker. Okay, so this is 85. You see, we're really, really close. I know you have a lot of questions, and I wish I can hear you. But make sure you send your questions so we can right away answer them. So don't be shy. Just ask. Okay, so then this should be 82, 81. You can go all the way to 79 if that happens, you're fine. If I let this cool here on the table for a couple of hours, it will get hard. But then the crystals that will be here will be the unstable ones. And then this eventually will bloom. And it will not be nicely tempered. Okay, so I think this is 83, and a little more. Also, the table, the best place to temper chocolate is marble, because marble stays cool for a longer time. Stainless steel is the second best, but then when the stainless steel gets warm, it stays warm for longer. Probably this part here is warmer than the rest, but I don't want to spread it all the way around, otherwise it will be too messy. Okay. I'll try to clean all this. Okay, I think this is ready. Yes, 81. So now I'm going to take this chocolate and I'm going to put it in this one. when you have a chocolate table, you have an edge that is sharp, so it's easy to just bring it down to your bowl. But this is rounded, and I know it will be messy, so I'm doing it the hard way. So let's make sure we get all this chocolate. And you always have to use a thermometer, just to make sure that your chocolate is properly tempered. Digital thermometers are really good. Bimetallic thermometers, the ones that they look like this, they're really good too. This is the digital also. My favorite is the laser. Laser thermometers only take the temperature of the surface, but we are stirring this chocolate constantly, so the temperature is being propagated there, and you can use that thermometer. And also it gives you a reading immediately. Okay, so that's there. Now I'm going to mix this well. And since this table is nice and cool, I'm going to put my bowl in here. I mix it really well. And it's giving me a read of 89. But sometimes what happens, what is usually what happens with this method, because you have a lot of chocolate, that you did your tabling, you put it in here, your chocolate was a little too hot, then when you mix it, it reads like 105, it's still too warm. So what you do is just put a little more in here, do the same thing, and bring it there. You want this chocolate here to be like 85. And then once it's 85, like this one, you need to rewarm this slightly so it gets to the working range of dark chocolate, which is 86 to 91. And this is pretty close. So then I will put it in my warm water there, and carefully I will try to bring it to that working range. And then when it gets there, supposedly, right, it's perfectly tempered. But you need to make sure it's tempered. So you take a piece of another small offset, or a piece of or a spoon or a knife, and then you dip your chocolate and you let it set on the table, and you wait, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, and if it's completely set here, that means it's tempered. Okay, now it looks wet, but like in 2 or 3 minutes I will show you how this one looks completely matte. Now it's like shiny wet, but it's going to look really matte, like it's going to look like this. Look at the shine of this. This is perfectly tempered. You can see the setting is so pretty and even in color. It's like matte, perfect. Some people touch it. You don't need to touch it. If you touch it, you leave a smudge in there. If it takes 2 minutes to get here, you know it's tempered. If it takes more than 5 minutes, that means it's not tempered. So you have to stir a little more and test again.